Welcome to this page-by-page showcase of my copy of the Incredible Hulk #1 UK price variant, which was recently graded by CGC, achieving a 5.5 off white to white pages. This iconic cover of the Incredible Hulk #1 features the classic Jack Kirby image of Bruce Banner transforming into the Hulk who looms over him. The Hulk's light grey skin, he didn't have his trademark green skin until issue 2, stands out against the deep blue background, whilst General Thunderbolt Ross and his daughter Betty Ross look on, surrounded by soldiers with a missile taking off in the background. Is he man or monster, or is he both? It perfectly captures the power and the monstrosity of the Hulk. You'll notice that on the UK price variant, the 9D features instead of the usual 12 cent, and the date is blank instead of the usual May on the cents copy. The blank date was consistent on UK price variants from April/May 1961 through to November 1964. The issue begins with a splash page featuring another of Jack Kirby's classic images of the Hulk shambling towards the reader. You'll note on the advertisement page opposite it features sole distributors in the United Kingdom, Thorpe and Potter, beneath it, which, outside of the price and date change on the cover, was the only other difference for these early Silver Age UK price variants. The first page of the interior art introduces us to Bruce Banner, a brilliant scientist, preparing to test his gamma bomb at a military installation in the desert. I've always loved that first panel of the incredible G-bomb standing stark against the landscape, ready to unleash its powers. Enter General Thunderbolt Ross, annoyed by the delays, and piles into Bruce over his overcaution before his daughter Betty Ross steps in to soothe things over. With that, Bruce commences the countdown, while his fellow scientist Igor berates Banner for not sharing his work on the gamma bomb with him and other scientists, warning of its dangers of gamma rays, but Banner reveals his formulas are locked away in his room. Checking the landscape, Bruce spots a teenager driving into the test area just as the bomb is about to explode. Bruce selfishly drives off to save him, asking Igor to delay the countdown. However, Igor sees his chance and plots to end Banner by ignoring the request. The teenager, Rick Jones, is stupidly chilling in his car with the harmonica in the blast zone as Bruce rushes towards him. Grabbing Rick and throwing him into a trench to protect him, Bruce is exposed to the full power of the blast and a massive dose of gamma radiation. Kirby's art here is stunning, capturing the raw power and chaos of the explosion, with Banner's body buffeted against the shockwave. Most powerful for me are the two close-up shots of Banner's face, the first as he's bombarded by the blast, and the second back in the base in the isolation room, with the horror conveyed in Stan's script that Bruce had been screaming for hours before coming round. After being checked out by a doctor, Bruce is left alone with Rick, but with the moon shining through the window, it's not long before a Geiger counter goes wild and Bruce transforms into the Hulk for the first time, bursting out of his clothes to reveal his grey-skinned monstrous form. He swats away Rick. The monster breaks free from the hospital and rampages through the base, encountering a military jeep full of soldiers. Unable to stop him, Hulk destroys the vehicle and escapes into the desert, whilst an unharmed Rick gives chase. Part 2, The Hulk Strikes, kicks off with a great Jack Kirby splash page with the Hulk hiding from armed soldiers hunting for him. Next page, the Hulk gets his name as the soldiers search for him in vain. It's also interesting to note here how the Hulk is portrayed. Much less savage, hiding from the soldiers, portrayed more as a lumbering Hulk, driven by instinct and his memories of Bruce Banner, setting off to find the formula back in his cabin with Rick Jones in tow. At the cabin, we find Igor searching for the formula as Hulk enters. Armed, Igor shoots the Hulk, which has no effect, and Hulk approaches, destroying the gun artfully drawn by Kirby in 4 consecutive panels, before he throws Igor against his desk, revealing Bruce's secret gamma radiation bomb plans. Hulk then catches a glimpse of a framed photo of his alter ego, Bruce Banner. Strangely, Hulk seems afraid of him, noting Banner is weak and soft. This triggers memories for the Hulk, realising that he is still Banner inside, and as the sun rises in the background through the window, he reverts back to his human form, his clothes still in tatters. Part 3, The Search for the Hulk, is a semi-splash page and sees the military burst in accompanied by General Thunderbolt Ross and Betty Ross, confused that the Hulk is nowhere to be seen. It's here that Bruce Banner hears his alter ego's name for the first time. Igor is recovered from the other room by the soldiers, and he is revealed to be a spy who General Ross announces must have been working with the Hulk. A confused Bruce Banner is questioned on what happened and whether he is involved, or is the Hulk, before two soldiers, attacked in the jeep earlier, declare the creature was nothing like Banner, describing the Hulk as a huge like gorilla or bear in tattered clothing. The military team leaves satisfied to continue their hunt for the Hulk, taking Bruce's research with them for safekeeping. Betty stays along behind with Rick to comfort him. Bruce is still dazed and confused, and so bids farewell to Betty, but not before it's made clear that both have feelings for each other. Once alone again with Rick, Bruce deduces that his transformation triggered at night. These powerful bottom 3 panels from Kirby highlight the ominous nature of his predicament and foreshadow his darker alter ego. Part 4, Enter the Gargoyle, we cut to an imprisoned Igor via another semi-splash page from Kirby, who is revealed to be working for the Gargoyle, a feared and monstrous genius supervillain based in Russia. He sends a secret message to him via a mini transmitter hidden in his thumbnail, alerting him to the presence of the Hulk. The Gargoyle, hidden away from the glances of his comrades, decides that a creature as powerful as himself, he must find the Hulk to either kill him or bring him back to Russia as a prisoner to further showcase his might and strength. Hours later, Gargoyle sets off on his way to the US in a rocket launched via a submarine. Meanwhile, with Rick Jones by his side, Bruce has decided to drive out to the desert to transform in the evening so as to avoid any casualties and damage to others. However, his transformation triggers whilst he's driving a military jeep, crashing the vehicle. The Hulk emerges from the wreckage along with an unharmed Rick. Notably, in one of the panels, Hulk is coloured green before we revert back to the usual grey colouring for this issue. This is the first time that the Hulk appears with his traditional green skin, as Stan Lee apparently originally envisaged a grey-skinned Hulk because he didn't want to reference any particular ethnic group. Unfortunately, as can be seen here, the colorist had trouble with the ink during those first issues, and thus the resulting grey colouring appeared as green at times. Stan ended up liking the green, and so it stuck, with the explanation for the shift to green a result of continued gamma exposure on the part of Dr. Bruce Banner. A bewildered Hulk, alongside Rick, surveys the landscape, recalling Banner's dim memories and spots Betty Ross's house. Meanwhile, the recently arrived Gargoyle spots the pair and approaches. Inside the Ross household, Betty can't seem to get Bruce out of her mind and is troubled, so the General suggests heading outside for some fresh air. Once outside, she encounters the Hulk, is overwhelmed and faints in his arms before the Gargoyle appears and confronts Hulk and Rick. Here we have an early house ad for the Amazing Adult Fantasy and the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four was already at issue 4 when the Hulk title was launched, and Amazing Adult Fantasy was at issue 12. This predates the newly retitled Amazing Fantasy 15, which introduced Spider-Man 3 months later in August 1962. Brandishing a gun loaded with his specially designed mind control bullets, Gargoyle shoots both the Hulk and Rick, enslaving them and takes them away, leaving Betty behind to be discovered by her father moments later. Importantly here, General Thunderbolt Ross vows to hunt down the Hulk, which goes on to define him throughout his run and beyond, establishing his ongoing hatred for the character. The Gargoyle takes the pair to a rendezvous point where he boards a Soviet jet bound for Russia. Whilst on board, the sun rises and the Hulk transforms back to Dr. Bruce Banner. Upon arriving in Russia, the Gargoyle discovers the Hulk and Banner are one and the same, and reveals his true misery at being a monster, breaking down in tears. Bruce suggests that whilst he can't cure himself, he can help the Gargoyle, and so builds a machine which radiates the Gargoyle and cures him. A new man, the Gargoyle berates his Soviet masters. The Gargoyle sends Bruce Banner and Rick Jones aboard a rocket to the US to continue their journey, whilst he sets about destroying both himself and his Soviet masters, and our story draws to a close.